Oh, my goodness. Thank you. Very, very happy and excited to get to host this panel of a show that I am a very deep, huge fan of. Thank you. I'm Patton Oswalt from Basic Cable. Thank you so much. Yes, come to the Happy Panel tomorrow. Yeah, I'm gonna piggyback my own show on yours, Neil. Take it. How's that feel? It's called Show Business. All right. I want to bring our esteemed panel up to talk about season 2. So let us begin introducing each of them. We're going to fill all these chairs, and one of these chairs has the magic briefcase. So let's find out which one. First, ladies and gentlemen, Demore Barnes. Yes. It's not a competition, Demore. Next, Omid Abtani. Guys, pace yourselves, please. Please. Mosa Kreish, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, wow. Wow. Very nice. Huh? Oh, would you stop it? Bruce Langley. Oh, with the hair from heaven. Give him a little hair flip. They deserve it. Give him a hair flip. Yeah, there you go. A man who needs no introduction, Mr. Crispin Glover, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Looking natty. Woo! My old friend Orlando Jones. Yetide Badaki. Oh my goodness. Yes. Gorgeous. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Pornstash himself, Pablo Schreiber. Whoa. Damn. Say hello to Porn Beard. Okay. Mr. Ricky Whittle, ladies and gentlemen. Where is he? Oh my, what, Ricky? Unbelievable. Wow, Ricky's campaigning for mayor, apparently. Here he is. Yeah, ran all the way here. Ricky, that's right. And finally, Ricky, please, for God's sakes. And finally, oh yeah, you actually want to get this entrance. The reason that we're all here, and maybe the reason that some of us exist, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Neil Gaiman.
She's not on your list.
They didn't put me on the list. I got to. Oh, go ahead.
Give me your microphone. Thank you so much. Hello. And I get to introduce the wonderful, the very dead, Emily Browning.
Sorry. Oh my God, they didn't put your name on the list. Emily, I'm sorry. They didn't. I feel terrible. Oh, my God. Sorry, all right. Have a seat. Okay.
Emily was terrified that they'd boo you. You'd boo her or something because... And she said, will they boo? And I said, no. And then we did worse. We left her off the list. It's because of being dead.
Ricky, what are you doing?
I'm working for stars right now. You're all on camera. Are you ready for season 2? Just asking.
Ricky, I don't know if that season can follow your own intro right there. Please, let's just... All right, so season 2 of American Gods. I want to obviously start by talking to Neil about... This is a weird panel to host because there's a lot of stuff that obviously we want to know and we want to talk about, but then there's stuff you clearly don't want to spoil. There's surprises in store, so I'm going to hand you the get-go. You get us started, and then we'll go from there.
I get to start. Okay, well, as you may remember, season 1 ends with Shadow Moon discovering who Mr. Wednesday is. Oh, Ian McShane sends his apologies. He wishes he could be here, but as he explained to me in a text, they're just zapping kidney stones, which he will then be pissing out. That is the Ian McShane. I love Ian. So.
He also asked me to just say cocksucker, if that helps. I don't know if that
cheering kidney
fills in
stones.
for him.
Thanks
or,
for
yeah?
that.
All right.
There's only one Ian McShane. Shadow Moon has discovered exactly who he is working for. And now season 2 is going to begin just a few short hours later. And everything is going to get both better and worse. The first place we are all headed is the House on the Rock. And they closed down the real House on the Rock for us for several days and let us film there. And Ricky, and I'm not going to tell you which of the other people I'm up here with, but at least 2 of the other people I'm up here with actually got to ride on the largest carousel in the world, which they never let you ride on.
And not many people in the world have ridden that carousel, so I felt very privileged and honored.
Yep. Basically, you're not allowed to, and they let us. Some of the people up here. If you're familiar with the book, I think... Thank you. I think the most useful piece of information I can give you, which is completely honest, is that we do not get to Lakeside in this season. However, we do get to Cairo, we do get to a funeral home. Laura and Mad Sweeney get to go on their own journey, which is...
Calm down.
Takes them to some very hot and exotic places. And
it's just Whole Foods.
And other than that, I think it's fair to say things get worse for everybody. Yeah. In dramatically interesting ways, obviously.
I have a question right off the bat for Emily and Rick. You know, when you're acting in things, you have to kind of draw on sense memory and your own experiences, but you're playing a couple that is not only dealing with the pain of infidelity, but also after the infidelity.
I'm dealing with it. She's pretty cool with it, apparently.
Well, yeah, she's way too cool with it because that's been put in perspective by the fact that you died and have been resurrected. So, what memories are you pulling from to deal with a marriage that's trying to rebuild itself after infidelity and then resurrection? I don't know if you've ever experienced anything like that in a relationship, or like, how do you draw on that?
I think maybe Ricky has. I mean, not so much.
Also, till death do us part. The thing was before she died.
You need to stop. Ricky,
I will never let it go.
Because this thing...
I was in prison 3 years.
Ricky does this.
I
thing
turned
where
down Big Timmy,
he-
Little Tiny.
Are you done?
Showers were frightening.
Ricky likes to, in interviews, refer to me as Laura, but calling me Emily. So he talks to me as though I'm the person who died giving his best friend a blowjob. And like he's actually angry at me.
Still hurts.
It's troubling because the character is kind of an awful person, and it's, you know, I'm an
And you're
just chill.
not. No, she's not. She's wonderful. She's incredible. That's how great an actress
Why?
she is. She's awesome. But no, it is crazy. But you always make something relatable, and I think everyone can relate to loss. God forbid it's something tragic like a loved one like that. But you know, you lost your favorite button. You
What?
You lost your. I'm trying to bring it down and make it relatable to everyone.
bringing
Will you
anything
just let me
down.
finish? We're really married. So everyone can relate to a loss, and so you kind of just substitute different things for that. So it's, for myself, I've had more than one girlfriend, so I know what it's like to break up with a girl. Just the one.
It's a little bit of a brag, but we'll let that pass. That's okay.
So yeah, so you just kind of play upon those kind of substitutions and just multiply them by a billion.
Now, I'm going to ask you guys this, and then I'll open up to the rest of the cast. How far ahead are you given scripts to read for a sense of, like, did they send you an overall Bible for the whole second season as to where it was going to go, or was it script by script, you reading it and figuring out the journey that your character would be on?
I was ad-libbing. What about you? Everything's different. You know, before you get to set, you know, you tend to have a couple of scripts. Sometimes it can be weeks in advance. Sometimes you'll get amendments, you know, the day of, the morning of, on set. You know, it's like any kind of project I've been a part of. It's a collaboration. Sometimes you're able to kind of change lines here on the day and things. Sometimes you think you find different things or different moments, or someone will play something, you're like, oh, that's interesting. What if I did this instead? Oh, okay. And it's kind of, it's literally like where this epic monster of a TV show becomes a play. And we can kind of work and it becomes very fluid. So I'm very fortunate that I get to play with this incredibly talented cast that I do.
One of the things that I would say is that, and then I think we do hand things over to the cast, is that one of the things that really was inspiring from where I was on this, which was mostly across an ocean in a cutting room of a completely different series, was how much all of the cast were invested in their characters, understood their characters. This season's writers were a whole new set of writers, and the cast made sure that the integrity of their characters was never compromised. And that, I think, says a lot for both the series itself, and also for the fact that we have world-class actors who love and understand what they're playing and are not prepared to compromise. And that, for me, has been huge all the way down the line.
Yeah, all the characterizations and the personalities are so vivid, and especially, it's amazing that they're all so vivid where so many of you are playing either otherworldly beings or beings that are maybe not that connected with humanity. You're drawn into their story. Some of you are literally playing ideas. So where do you find the, you know, humanity in some, or what is your connective, the connective thread for you to that character? Crispin, I'm looking at you.
Well, yeah, it's true. There's conceptual aspects, but then you've always got something you need, so that becomes immediately relatable as a person.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that makes sense. It's no, it does. I never thought about it that way. Even if you're a god, there's something that you're like, oh, I still need this thing.
It would be. It would not be interesting if you didn't need something.
Yes, that is true.
And how you attain it becomes interesting.
And then how a lot of the just based on season one, a lot of you did scenes where it was very, very heavy special effects and very heavy visual effects that you had to sort of either act around or augment with your performance? How did you, do you guys remember like a moment that was particularly difficult or that was maybe hard to pull off effects-wise?
Oh, Omid, I think that was you. No, that was, what are you talking about? Y'all don't, y'all don't do that on a Friday afternoon? No, I think it all goes back to this incredible work that has been created by this master storyteller, Neil Gaiman.
Yeah.
Going back to that question you asked about what's it like playing, gods, Neil's work is so evocative. And I remember one of the things that hit me was that these gods are distillations of human belief, human thought in all their extremities. And so in as much as they're these otherworldly beings, these gods are absolutely human in their needs and their wants. And so when it comes down to playing something that has maybe a lot of visual effects, maybe, well, a couple, then it didn't become about those things. I know there's probably quite a few VFX people right now that are like, really, Yetide? It was, but we got to so deeply go into these stories that even though we were sitting there with a trapdoor bed and becoming how many feet higher or taller, it really came down to what was going on between these two individuals. But when it comes to a master class in green screen acting, I always think of Ricky Whittle and buffalo acting. Would you care
I know
to
what
tell
you're
us about
pushing
that?
at. I know what you're pushing at. So this is my first, thanks to Neil and American Gods, for my first experience ever of green screen. I'm about to give you, this is what we do, all right? You have to just drop everything and just hand it over to the director to hope he doesn't make you look stupid. So this was me during the buffalo scene in the dream sequence. The director's telling you what you can see because it's just you, a little mat, and then green all around you, or blue, depending. You're coming through the cave. There's a tree ahead of you. No, it's bigger than that. Wide, really wide. Both sides. Wow, you're in awe. There's a buffalo behind the tree. It's coming towards you. It's bigger than that. That's not its face. Steps towards you. You're scared, but intrigued. It says believe. And then he goes, cut. And then you're just like, please make that look good. But that's a true story about green screen. You just literally have to, you become a child again. It's really fun, and you just let go. The more you can let go and just go with it, the better it's going to be. And that's where the true inner child comes out, and I like to really play as an actor, which is fortunate because a lot of shadow stuff is green screen.
Can I just say?
As with CGI.
As hard as Ricky's buffalo acting is, trained English actor, it wasn't as hard as having to...
Having to what? No, really, Musa, what?
To get oiled up day after day in charcoal and baby oil, and then be asked to make sweet love to this man.
To your friend.
To my friend.
So we're waiting for the hard part.
No, I think we already found it.
We all saw the hard part.
I mean, he's not light. I'm just gonna say, I had to lift him a lot. I mean, you guys try throwing him around for hours upon hours. I mean, it was fun.
And could we just say how jacked Omid is this season? Like Salim hit the gym.
Yeah. Here's the thing about Musa. He likes to deny the fact that we use CGI in our scene. He likes
I have so many questions about the fire right now. I have so many fire questions. If I could just... That's not fire in his eyes?
I'm gonna keep people guessing, but Pablo knows the truth. So you guys look at Pablo and he knows. He knows.
Green screen
Where
is the
do we
new
go
black,
from there?
apparently.
To the truth.
Now, Pablo, you were on, what was the transition between doing a show like Orange is the New Black and then coming to this show? How close were those two? Was that a radical shift for you acting-wise, or?
No, they weren't very close together.
Oh.
Conceptually or chronologically. It had been a year and a half at least since I had done any work on Orange is the New Black. It had been a while. You know, my career has been an interesting thing that started early on with The Wire and had like a...
That's right.
That was like my first pop thing, and then I had a really quiet period for like a bunch of years, and then Orange is the New Black happened, and nobody knew it was coming, and nobody saw it, and so that was very interesting and strange. And then I had about a year and a half of doing other things, and then this character presented itself, and it was another opportunity, I felt like, to do something really physically radically different, which I had such fun creating something so different for Orange is the New Black in terms of a look. Yeah. This seemed like it presented a really good opportunity for another physical transformation, but at the same time, something that was based in really good, solid character work, and the people involved obviously were incredibly interesting to me, starting with the creative team of Michael and Brian Fuller, who we had first season. Yep. And Neil, obviously, who wrote the source material that I was so incredibly, I didn't know, I've told him this before, so I'm not spoiling anything here, but I didn't know of Neil's work other than Coraline because I had read the kids' books until I was presented with this series. And it opened up this world for me, of his world, that has been one of the great gifts of my acting career, to get to discover his work because of this. And so when I read the book, I was like immediately, I'm in, I'm sold, because, you know, he's only in 2 scenes in the book, so it shouldn't take me long to shoot. Right? I was like, this will be a quick one.
Yeah.
And now, what are we, 3 or 4 years here?
It is, yeah. It is a physically
2 seasons,
deep role.
4 years.
We are never going to let you go.
We got you for the next decade.
So I don't know if that answers your question, but there's some thoughts.
Yeah. Now, Orlando, you have an extraordinary scene.
Stop it.
I first worked with Orlando in '95 when I was a writer on Mad TV, so I go way back with him. Anyway.
We go back.
But you have an extraordinary scene on the slave ship when we first meet Mr. Nancy, and that monologue has, it's an amazing monologue that has become horrifyingly timely as events have unfolded in the real world. Did you get a sense that that it would land as hard as it did? Because I remember watching that scene, I rewound it and watched it like 2 or 3 times. I was like, they're literally calling out exactly kind of where this dark path the country seems to be going down right now. I mean, how did you feel when you first read it and then performed it? And
I mean, you know, when you read something like that, your first thought is, there's no way in hell they're going to let me do this. This is never going to happen. Someone will come to their senses and go, he can't say that like that. That's not, turn that off. That's not right. Send him back to reprogramming. Something's wrong with him. Really grateful for the opportunity to do it, to be honest with you. You know, at the time that we were shooting it, it was like really hot in Toronto, and the Toronto division of Black Lives Matter was marching at the time in the street, and they were talking about, you know, protesting and looking at human rights from the Canadian perspective, which obviously is generally not talked about. And so I don't think I realized at all that it would be that prophetic. In many ways, I kind of felt like the difficulty of it is that we've all heard it before, and we've not done anything about it. And I feel like that's kind of where we are now, right? We find ourselves in a situation where there's a tremendous amount of frustration around what's happening, particularly with women, but disenfranchised groups across the board. And it's impossible to do a show like this and not see how Neil's work 17 years ago so perfectly becomes a corollary for the world that we're looking at now. So when we say visionary, I think we don't say so trying to be cute, right? And I think that's the power of why we love these characters, all of us. It's what we fight for every day. And I think in many ways you're going to see those things come to life for Mr. Nancy this year, differently. Because a lot of the battle this year is really about what human slavery is today. And today, that's mass incarceration and human trafficking. Yes. So it's really focused on women, you know? So, exciting. Exciting to be on a show that looks at Muslims and sexuality and explores even silly stereotypes like the big leprechaun and you know what I mean? But
the jacked leprechaun.
But right? The jacked leprechaun.
Yeah.
Hulk leprechaun. You know, getting his ass kicked by a female protagonist that he's not involved in a relationship with. I mean, these are the tropes. These are the tropes that, you know, Neil was able to lay out in the book. These are the tropes that we fight, and it's why we do this show. It's why we love it, and why we're so grateful for you guys to showing up here to hear more about season 2. That's all I got, sir.
Well said, sir. Well said.
Huh?
Wow.
Well said.
Thank you, sir.
Now, Bruce, you're sort of playing the more modern aspects of, I don't even know if it's like you would call it godlike. It's almost like it's a god being born and getting reformed. Like how do you conceive of that character and kind of bring it to life when you're playing a constantly shifting character in a lot of ways?
Sure. So one of the ways that I approached the character was by thinking of him as a composite consciousness, by which I mean part of his consciousness is an artificial intelligence that has access to all of the information on the internet and literally processes information faster than anything else around, almost, right? Another part of it was a deity that has only known worship, so it's just constantly getting this constant adulation, has never known anything in a negative context other than his personal relationships. And the other part of it was just a standard, very, very vulnerable, and this is the access point through the meat space that he has to exist in, a very, very human soul that has to interact and wants things in a very, very vulnerable way and has to interact in this incredibly vulnerable, horrible way, like that.
My God.
I swear it's the hair. The hair gives him power.
Well, I know where my missing speed went backstage. Wow. Well.
One of the lovely things that we get to see a little hint of in season 2 is the different incarnations of the technical boy. Because people grumbled to me in season 1 that the technical boy of the TV show wasn't the technical boy of the book. And I would go, yeah, but the technical boy of 1999, when I was writing the book, is not the technical boy of now. He would be cooler and so forth. And just taking that idea, and we started playing with it. And one of the things that I love is in episode 6, which is mostly set in the 1930s, we get to meet the telephone boy, who I think at that point has recently taken over from the telegraph boy. And Bruce gets to be all of these things. And of course, with any luck, we may even find out where he's going next.
It would be cool if you showed the technical boy from the early 90s and he's constantly buffering and having to reboot himself. And kind of freezing up, and you got to wait forever for him to say one sentence, and like, Jesus, like that would be, no? All right, so, I'm sorry, he's at modem speed right now. I don't know what to tell you. It is about time to start opening up the floor to some of you guys. This question, wow, they're ready.
That was quick.
Yeah, it was. Right here with the awesome blue hair.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, I'm an aspiring director, so my question's actually for the cast. I feel like directing is something that only actors really get to see directors do. So my question is, how good does Ricky look today? No, that's not my question. I lost track.
I'd like to answer that question. I'd like to answer that question.
Well, now everyone's going to ask the same question, trying to get a hug.
I just had a feeling that would work.
I'm very shallow and easy, I'm sorry.
So my actual question is, what was a piece of directing that you found interesting or whimsical or that really made something click for you?
Well, for me, I can't talk about directing without talking about our producer-director, Chris Byrne. For me, he's one of the huge reasons we've kept the continuity of season 1 in tone, look, the richness, and how things are shot. The mind of that man is incredible. And when he asks you to do stuff, there's a lot of directors I'd be like, what? Because he'll get a bottle and go, so what I'm gonna do is, I've got this bottle of water, I'm gonna shoot some light through it, I'm gonna shoot the camera over through here, so it's gonna project up on your face, and I'm gonna get you to come up through the light. And you're like, what? But then you see it on screen, and it is magical. And he works with an incredible crew that we've got up in Toronto.
So the advice is, I think, if you want to be a good director, be magical. That's...
No,
Well,
I'm talking about
actually-
a moment. She asked about a beautiful moment. And for me, Chris Byrne has given me those moments. He's a fantastic director, and I enjoyed his work.
What you just described, how does the director put you guys at ease when they are maybe shooting something that is going to be a little more esoteric and let you know that, well, but it will look like this? Here's like, how do they guide you through some of those moments maybe
I think that's definitely what Chris Byrne brought for us, because he was with us for all of season 1. He was the second unit director in season 1. And I think he knows the look of the show better than anyone. I mean, he's created all of the visuals for the show. But I think by this season, we all felt so comfortable in our characters and so comfortable with Chris that we kind of just automatically trusted him. I think it was a little different first season as we were, figuring out who these people were, and it felt like a lot more collaborative then. And I think that the directors in the first season definitely, for me, helped me figure out who Laura was in the show. So I don't know if that helps at all.
Directing in episodic television is a really thankless job. It's hard because in episodic television, the actors, and specifically the ones who are series regulars, really take the series as their own, basically, because they all know their characters and they're there all the time. And as an episodic director, you come in and you're coming in from whatever other show you've worked on, and you really know nobody, and so much of the job is instantly making relationships, being friendly to people, and just trying to fit in and learn what the tone of the show is. So directing in episodic television is so much different than directing a film, where it's your vision and it's your thing to create. As a director in episodic TV, you have to learn everybody, figure out what the tone of the show is, and figure out how to put that across rather than trying to put your own stamp on it, really.
I was also just really excited by the fact that this season, the majority of our directors were women. It was just incredible to see.
That's awesome. And then, do we go to this mic over here, or? Yes? Good question.
Hello? Actually, just to follow on what that young lady started, I'd like to know, Patton, can I get a hug?
Ow! Come on, get over there. Get over there.
Don't be so happy about it, really.
Yay. All right.
Well, it was either you or Neil.
That is true.
I think you made the right choice there.
First off, Neil, I just want to let you know, earlier Mark Shepard pretty much said you're his favorite contemporary author, so I thought you might be interested in knowing that.
Thank you.
And mine too, but that's besides the point. But I just want to know how much, for both this and for Good Omens, are you on set? How much of it I know because you're involved behind this thing, but are you on set and dealing with that a lot on both the shows?
With Good Omens, I was on set pretty much all the time, and there in post-production pretty much all the time, which, due to my inability to master the intricacies of bilocation, meant that I wasn't in Toronto all the time. I got up to Toronto before we shot and was there and got to work stuff out. I got to head out to Wisconsin to the House on the Rock shoot because I was damned if that was happening without me. And I got up to Toronto while they were shooting episodes 204, 205, which was also good because then I got to spend time with the writers of 206 and 207 in particular and really get deep into stuff like, you know, here is 6,000 years of mad Sweeney's story, use as much of it as you want, and that kind of thing. One of the things that I'm looking forward to a lot in future seasons is that I won't be full-time on set on Good Omens anymore. That is finite and that is done. And hopefully we'll get to spend a lot more time with this bunch of reprobates, which is...
Thanks. All right. Yeah. Right here.
Hi. Sorry, I'm distracted by Ricky's shirt.
Me too, honey. Me too.
Do
I
your
totally know what
buttons
you're
up,
talking
Ricky.
about.
Nobody wants to see you naked.
No, please don't cover up on my eyes.
Please.
It's stars. It's about flesh.
I just wanted to know, based on your own personality, not your characters, who do you think you would side with, the old gods or the new gods?
What a great question. Why don't we start down at the end? Delmo has not said anything yet.
I would side with the old gods. Yeah, definitely.
You seem so uncertain.
Well, I didn't know which way it was going to go. I don't want the whole room to go crazy if I say the wrong group. Suddenly I got to fight my way out of here. I'm not looking to do that, so I'm for sale, pretty much. You let me know. I'll spin a tail and it'll work out our way, okay? Old gods.
Well, I could go either way.
Of course you could go. You're Bilquist. That makes perfect sense. Thank God for Bilquist.
Well, I think it's actually pretty interesting. It's one of the things that we've been exploring this season. In some ways, well, no, I won't give that away. But we've been exploring, as far as the new gods and the old gods, just the notion of adaptability and evolving. And in saying that, I believe my preference would be for the old gods, not simply because I play one of the eldest gods, but because there's a reason why they were not only established, but why they continue to endure. Because the new guys are just the new guys on the scene, you know, but we really know how it's done, you know?
Yeah. I want to be clear, he's death. Toth is death. You're clapping for death, just so we're clear. Just so we're clear.
Oh, without a doubt.
You better answer. Yeah. Well, because it's becoming a very one-sided competition, I guess I'll throw in there that while spiritually I would connect with the old gods, I think attention must be paid to the new gods. We can't evolve as a society. We can't change things, and we can't look to make the world better if we don't acknowledge the things that we're battling against. So in the battle of the old gods and the new gods, we have to know what it is that this society is battling with.
Here, here.
I don't know what the fuck you just said, to be honest with you. I'm probably going to go
old god, personality-wise, but, you know, I guess...
Totally.
But, I don't know. Are you a god? No. Yeah, then, no. Old gods. Old gods.
I think maybe I can't help but look at it through the lens of my character, but like Laura probably would, I'm not fucking siding with anyone. I'm out for myself. They all seem crazy to me.
I think it's less to do with personality and more to do with the osmosis of information in a sociological context.
Oh, God.
By which I mean the subliminal way in which we absorb information and use that as our filter to analyze reality, by proxy of living in the days that we live in, essentially means that we are all more or less worshipping the new gods unless you're a breakaway. So the new gods.
You know,
Pat, I can't believe you did that while drinking the water. That was amazing. You've got that.
But just so you guys know, just to be clear, he's really like this. It's not a joke. He's really...
We love him. We absolutely love him.
He's quite literally the most intelligent kid I know. Like, when he's not filming, he reads, he explores. Like, he is just a sponge of just, like, everything. It's amazing to watch, and I hope that I could learn. I am trying to learn. I've got a month off in November, and I'm taking a leaf out of his book. I'm trying to learn another language. I'm trying to do this, that, and the other, and it's because of this guy here. He's inspiring.
Ricky's going to come back to season 3 with long, flowing hair.
So, I want to know what Crispin...
You know, nobody's going to get to their questions if y'all don't stop talking. I'm just saying.
Well, I don't know. I almost think I might have misunderstood. I almost think I'm kind of thinking similarly to what you're thinking, but in a certain way, I don't really see the differentiation. It's to me, it's the structure changes in terms of metaphor, and so the way people interpret stories becomes new, but the concepts can be old. So I don't know that it's amorphous. So I wouldn't really be thinking of them as gods. I'd be thinking of them as a metaphor for some kind of internal truth that can change regarding what the culture is dealing with at the time.
Yeah, maybe that's really interesting. It's the illusion that the gods are changing, but all that's changing is the interpretation. It's always the same base idea.
Say that again?
Like you're saying the gods themselves don't change. It's how they're interpreted.
Well, just story structure is amorphous. And gods are attributed to a certain internal thought, or early story structure, it would seem, would be something that was orally transitioned from one generation to the next, so that imperative ideas were saved so people could live. So that means that these kind of metaphors were easy nuggets to get down from one generation to the next. So there were these important ideas that were being passed down orally, and then they can, well, the standard telephone game where somebody talks, if I said one thing, by the time we got down to the end of the row, if I whispered into Bruce's ear and he whispered, etc., we'd have a completely different story at the end. Although I do think there are certain stories that probably have lasted for maybe millions of years. Who knows how long human beings have been actually speaking and passing stories down.
Now I know what dinner at Crispin Glover's house is like.
No, that's...
Can't wait to come over and hang out with you, sir.
That could be a great direction for like season 3. That's a really cool idea. I love that. Wow. All right. Nice. Thank you, Crispin Glover. Damn. Right over here.
Sweet baby Jesus. Okay. I'm Jania. I'm a writer for Geeks of Color, and So one of the things that I really like about American Gods, the book and the TV show, is that when you're showing these gods, they're not just like the classic, like, white gods, like the Greek and the, Romans and the Norse. We're showing like a Nancy who I didn't know about until I watched the show. So I just want to know, like, what is that like, being able to represent on such an important show? Like, you're showcasing essentially the gods of other cultures. And so, like, what is that like for some of you guys who are not playing the ones, well, I guess all of you, the ones who are not playing the ones that we're familiar with? What is that like to be able to represent different cultures through the characters that you're playing and introducing an audience to gods and folklore that they may not be familiar with?
I was just going to say, as a non-god, as just an ex-con, it's a great gift to be a part of this show, and with Neil's writing in this show, I myself, hopefully like our audience do around the world, I'm just being educated. Today, season 2, we welcome Sam Crow, who is a First Nation lesbian. The actress is a First Nation lesbian, and she has been able to teach me so much more about her culture. And I've learned so much in season 1 and now in season 2 about all these beautiful cultures that I had no idea about, like yourself and Nancy. And it's a great gift that we could all learn, especially in the current times where it's, diversity is beautiful. We don't all want to be the same thing. We want to learn about all the different flavors and colors in the world. It's what makes this world beautiful. It's what made, what it was making America beautiful, is that everyone was kind of working together and just appreciating everyone's backgrounds and where they came from. We all have the same struggle. It's to get to our beds at the end of the day with the one we love, So as long as we kind of maintain that, it's great. But I'm really proud to be a part of this show. Although I'm not a god, I love learning about every single one of these. I knew about leprechauns because I used to live in Dublin.
What was that like for you, Orlando?
I was always good. Nothing.
To answer your question, yeah, I think it's an important thing, right? When you talk about representation, and you particularly look at women, women don't often even speak on camera, right? So to have someone who's speaking and playing someone who has their own agency becomes incredibly important. Anansi was somebody that my great-grandmother and grandmother used to read to me about. So he's been a part of my family forever. I wanted to play this role. I begged Neil Gaiman on Twitter. It's true.
That is how he got cast.
That's absolutely true. So to play the role was important because the representation of that character was important, and because of the journey of people of color to America, we are scattered all around the Caribbean, and so I wanted him to have all of those colors and flavors that Neil embodied in the character originally, as part of why I loved the book so much. So I think critically important for me as a performer, because that's not something I can do in most other roles I've had in my career. It's not a place I can go to, right? So for me as an artist, it opened up a lot of things that I wanted to try and play with that I didn't have access to. And in hoping and believing that it would touch you and other people wouldn't see the color of it all, but would see the pain, see the joy, see the struggle, and become a part of that journey with us, right? So I think that's why Stars makes the show. I think that's why we all love the show. That's why Neil wrote the book. So, in a nutshell, I think it's so much bigger than representation. I think it's really about all of us, right? It's not us versus them. It's us and what we can do together. That's the power of it.
Wow. I really love your question. I love your question as well, because it makes me remember when I was growing up and watching television, or if I was watching sports or entertainment. Your question reminds me that when I watched, I was often looking for someone who I felt was my voice or represented my voice. And I think that transcends color. I think it was, there was something within me, and I would say probably something within all of you that are looking for that. So in terms of your question, I think the opportunity to play as a person of color, to play a god, a historical god of color, there's something that's very exciting to be on this end, to take on a role of being a voice for others who otherwise are looking for a voice in a way that I once was.
Right, and the stories that we tell ourselves impact the way that we see ourselves. And so I think it's incredibly important, especially now, that as women, as people of color, we're able to see ourselves as powerful beings, the powerful beings that we are.
All right. We have time for one more question from Raven.
Hello, hi. Hopefully I don't start a theological discussion, but Mr. Gaiman, I just wanted to ask, you know, you talk about so many different mythologies and so many different gods, and obviously you have put some thought and research into it, and I just want to know, you know, what was your process of looking into it, of sort of figuring out all the details, not only that were true, but also that you wanted to put in your book and later the TV show and everything?
Well, for American Gods, I was lucky because without knowing it, I'd been researching American Gods my entire life by compulsively reading all of the mythology, all of that stuff that I could possibly find. And so when I came to write it, there wasn't actually an awful lot of research. What there was I knew this stuff. This was the stuff I'd been living and breathing. These were the stories I wanted to tell. What I love is what these guys have brought to what I did, because it takes something that for me was small and personal, an obsession with mythology, with world religions, with all of that stuff, and it brings it out to this huge, wide, international audience. The fact that American Gods, the TV series, the first season just went so huge all around the world was such an unexpected and glorious delight. And I love that there are people all around the world now who know who Anansi is, who know who Bilquis is, who are trying to figure out what the technical boy just said. That, for me, was the most important part of it.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, another round of applause for our cast of American Gods. For everybody, we are going to let you have one more look at that amazing trailer. Thank you. Have a great Comic-Con, everybody.
Thank you.
Won't you join us, Shadow?
Truth be told, I'm not the man I once was.
When people first came to America, they brought us with them. Forgotten gods, a new life in a new land.
Is everyone in here a god?
There are new gods growing in America. Now they want to destroy us. And if you think otherwise, you are fooling yourselves.
The storm is coming.
He is dangerous. I need you to believe that.
I don't know what I believe.
You're in the fairy tale now, aren't you?
I see a band of angels, and they're...
Hi, I'm Jackie Jennings with SYFY WIRE. If you can't get enough of New York Comic Con, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel for news, interviews, cosplay, and so much more. What are you waiting for?